What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Nerdy Volume podcast episode. And tonight we're going to be talking about Violent Night. All right. Violent Night was directed by Tommy Wirkola and the writers Pat Casey and Josh Miller, starring David Harbour, John Leguizamo, and Alex Hassel. Let's get into it.
Violent Night. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. It was not holy, that's for sure.
Yep. And it was definitely good to see Hopper playing another awesome character named Santa Claus. Okay.
Yeah.
And it
Old
was
Saint
funny
Nick.
because I didn't know he was playing the actual Saint Nick when I first saw the trailer some odd months ago. But he
Yeah.
was actually playing Saint Nicholas. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He did a pretty good job in that role also.
Yes, he did. He did a great job, and it was definitely a role that I didn't, like I said, I didn't know he was going to be the real Santa Claus. I thought he was just going to be one of those, Santa Claus dudes that was once an ex-military / spec ops guy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And no, he was just the regular Santa Claus. You know what I mean? And he was a great Santa Claus. In the beginning, you see him; he's kind of a drunk, and he's kind of giving up on people because of their greed. And he's blinded by what's been going on. And I think it's a big representation of how today's society take in news via, the TV, newspapers, social media. You know what I mean? It's a very good thing of him saying, he's like, well, if everybody else is saying it on here, even though it's a minute area, it must be the whole world, right? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest part of that is that, it's very misleading. and that really gives David Harbour's character as Santa Claus, a realistic vision of how Christmas is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like his backstory too.
Mm-hmm.
What was the hammer's name again?
Oh man, the hammer's name, Skullcrusher, I think it was.
Skullcrusher. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
I'm just trying to imagine the girl just saying, "Oh, it's Skullcrusher."
It's Skullcrusher, yay! What?
Yeah, she was so innocent about this murderous machine or tool, excuse me. And Skullcrusher.
And then we also got John Leguizamo.
Yeah,
Leguizamo. Yeah, playing Scrooge, and we got Alex Hassel as Jason Lightstone, Alexis Louder as Linda, and much more. Whole bunch of others. Not a lot of I wouldn't say top tier cast besides David.
Well, you
Harbour.
actually have Beverly D'Angelo. She is kind of like a veteran in the game. You know what I mean? She's been in National Lampoon's Vacation, American History X. I mean, Vegas Vacation. She's been in a lot. And
she played Gertrude.
Yeah, she was the grandma of Leah Brady's character, Trudy Lightstone. I want to also put in that Jason Lightstone, the character or the actor Alex Hassel, he was in the Cowboy Bebop series. He was the Vicious brother, the brother Vicious. And it was funny because when I was watching A Violent Night, I was just like, yo, why does he look super familiar and annoying?
It's just his face. Something about his face.
Yeah, something about his face. But his character, Jason Lightstone, was actually a very lighthearted character. You know what I mean? Especially towards the grandmother or the mother to Jason, Gertrude Lightstone, who was all about, the business. She was a business woman through and through. She was a mogul of sorts. Yeah. And then, you enter Linda and Trudy, his family. His wife or separated wife, and then his daughter, and you see how they react. Like the way that Trudy was to her dad was actually she respected him a lot. She loved him a lot, especially the mom. And even though the mom didn't really get along with Jason, you see that they were once a whole family. You know what I mean? At least they loved each other at some point, because you can tell it within the character of Trudy.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously when you look at the other family, Jason's sister, Alva Lightstone, you see her relationship with her son and her boyfriend, which I believe is not her or his son. So Bertrude, which is the funniest name, Bertrude,
Birch.
cousin of Trudy, and
Yeah.
nephew to Jason Lightstone. Yeah, you see him as the typical teenager that's on social media and trying
Yeah.
to be an influencer. He's like, "Yo, what's up? Yo, Santa's real." Da da
What's up,
da.
guys?
Yeah, you know what I mean. You see all these characters kind of coming together, and then you see someone like Alva's boyfriend, played by Cam Gigandin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, nah. If there was no guns, I would have took them all down because I specialize in this one movie." I was just like,
Yeah.
"Yo, your character is one of those trope characters that you see in silly shows like Home Alone
Yeah.
and yeah, shows like that, like Jingle All the Way. He's that type of character, and he was definitely the type that you needed to be in the show. And you really get to see how he's only into Alva Lightstone because of her last name and her mother. You know what I mean? You really get to see that, and it's great that they used a family like this, like a super rich family that has ties with the
Right.
government. You know what I mean? Like, what a perfect way to I guess shine light because there's so many characters within this family that it makes sense that Santa would feel the way he does. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then, like, you touched upon how you said that how Santa felt, and basically it's like literally everything that's out of his bag is like a game, a game, a game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because there's this one part where he's actually trying to look for a weapon, like, dang, another game, another video game. Like, I don't think you're gonna get something, but he did. He brought out a ukulele. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, oh snap, okay, loved it.
Somebody wish for an ukulele. Is that you? Is
Probably for me because I was a good kid. No.
no, but the funniest part was we were talking about the dad, the boyfriend, and he does something to one of the henchmen, the elf guy.
Mm-hmm.
He punches him and he does all this kung fu stuff, and then he just jumps out the window like nothing. I'm like, what the heck? Where's it going? I'm like, what? That was like the most random and funniest scene in the whole movie, I think, for me, that is.
Oh yeah, yeah. There was a lot of funny scenes, and it was kind of funny when I was wanted to watch Violent Night. So initially, I was gonna watch The Menu, which is I believe a thriller, right?
Mhm.
And I was talking to my friend, and she was like, okay, we'll watch a movie." And then when like the day of comes, and she's like, "Oh yeah, okay, so Violent Night plays at this time, this time." And I was like, "Violent Night?" I was like, "Oh, that's the David Harbour film, it's, Santa." And
Yeah,
I'm like, okay. And then she goes along and says, "Yeah, it's actually very much like Home Alone meets Die Hard." And I'm like,
right.
oh, is that right? Okay, I didn't. I was like, you said you had me at Home Alone. You know what I mean? I loved Home Alone solely for all the booby traps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, they paid homage to that movie
oh yeah,
a
yeah,
lot in
yeah.
this movie.
Taxes included. Oh my goodness,
Oh my goodness, the
dude.
bowling balls as well.
Yeah, no, bro. The nail on the step to the
Yeah,
attic.
not the coffee, the nail in the step.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Not in the step, bro. And I'm just all like, I mean, Trudy is the one that made that trap, and Trudy was probably thinking about it for their feet, not for the jawline. You know what I'm saying? Or like
Yeah,
right
it
here.
went
I
right
was just
into
like,
here. I was like,
oh,
"Whoa,
Trudy's a gangster. But
that's
I
gotta
bet,
hurt."
yeah, I was like, that's gotta be for something. And then, yeah, so Trudy was actually very smart. Makes sense. I mean, look at her grandmother. Her grandmother's super successful millionaire
Hmm.
mogul. Her dad is the favorite. It only makes sense that she's just as brilliant. And we have nothing on Linda, but we do know that Bert calls Linda Aunt Linda, which I think it says a lot about a child. If a child can say aunt, like I feel like that's a sort of respect in a way. You know what I mean?
Right.
He said Aunt Linda, even though he was trying to get her for them to kill her first, but he says Aunt Linda, which is very interesting. You know what I mean? I'm just like, okay, all right. So he has some kind of respect for her being, the his auntie. So I thought that was really cool to see. And I was like, so what is Linda exactly? So is Linda also from a very wealthy background? Her father
Mhm.
used to hunt, so I'm assuming so. Especially wherever they're, I don't know. I have no idea. So we don't know the ideas of Linda. However, since she said hunting, maybe Trudy understood how to do the what is that? She had the talent of misdirection, where you see the bottom of the attic steps had a bunch of
Right.
nails, and then there was a nail on the step, but there was a broken step underneath the nail. You know what I mean? And that was a great way to do misdirection. She made two things very clear, that there are very sharp objects nearby, but they're just like, huh, children, really? Boom, boom, missed it, hit that right there. My gosh. And yeah, paid homage so much to Home Alone for sure.
And I think that was my favorite part also when the other bad guy goes up to the stairs and she gets stuck.
Hmm.
She
Hmm.
goes falls back and she's all like
Yeah, yeah.
glued into the ground.
Oh,
And then
oh
she
my
just forces
gosh.
herself up. I'm like, oh my gosh, a whole bunch of hair just came out of her scalp just now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, and her name was Candy Cane, which is funny.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, and it was actually, when they first introduced her as the bartender, it made sense that she was a bad person because she had this like scowl on her face throughout the whole event, and I was just like, yeah, yeah, you can't tell me she's not the bad person. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah. So, anyways, this movie, it's basically about a team of mercenaries breaking into this wealthy family compound, like what Izzy said in the beginning, and it's on Christmas Eve. So, the mercenaries, they take everybody into hostage, but little did they know they have a surprising antagonist towards them, which is none other than David Harbour's Santa Claus. And so this jolly Saint Nick is he ain't no Saint Nick. He just wanted to get back home and make sure his family's safe. And the fact that his rangers took off with this sleigh, so I think that was part of his predicament of him staying into
Yep.
the big old house
And his
to
proof of who he was
yeah.
gone. Yeah. Jeez. Literally what, yeah. And then you see the relationship between the Lightstones, where Trudy and the parents, they have things going on with the grandmother, and the whole family have their own issues going on. All
Hmm.
the while, Santa Claus is still doing his Santa Claus thing. You know what I mean? And then it was really cool when you see David Harbour's character or Santa Claus coming in and eat a cookie from the house, the Lightstone house. He's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
homemade," you know.
Yeah.
And
He even
yeah,
he got rid of the milk too. He put
yeah.
something else in
He's like,
there.
"Oh, skim." Ugh. I was just like, "Yeah, you got to give him the whole. You got to give him the good stuff."
Yeah.
And yeah, no. And then you see him literally getting beaten up by these mercenaries because, well, from what I understand in this movie, Santa Claus is actually very debuffed. He's not the normal strong magical being that he knows. He actually explains
Hmm.
that he doesn't understand how it works.
Yeah,
And
he explains it a lot in this movie. Like he
yeah,
doesn't understand how Christmas magic works.
yeah, yeah. And in the end, you see Trudy and Santa uh, teaming up together to go up against Scrooge and his henchmen, to get money. And it is an insane plot, and it is very quirky and yet very deadly situation. Especially since we see Santa Claus before he became Santa Claus as a Viking.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought that was cool. I was like, oh yeah, that's right, because I believe Santa Claus was a Norse, Norse being
Oh,
believe a belief, yeah, because the coal, you get coal or whatever, and coal, nobody wants coal. You know what I mean? No kid
yeah.
wants coal. And so, yeah, so he had Blood Crusher that he ends up explaining to Trudy, um, and he's just like, okay, well, back in the day, I used to do this. I used to line them up in real nice, and I used to take them out. You know what I mean? And Trudy, being the young
Right.
innocent one, is just like taking it in, like, oh, okay, all right, cool. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
I thought it was very. I knew that when Jason Lightstone gave the walkie-talkie to his daughter, I knew that was like a foreshadow. I was like, oh yeah, Santa Claus is gonna find the other one. He's gonna find the
Yep.
other one because he only found one. Yeah, there's two walkie-talkies to a set. So yeah, and with Trudy's help and Santa Claus's help, they were able to fight off Scrooge and his friends. And we also get to find out that Scrooge's life was actually, a lot of it had to deal around Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, he blamed Santa, and Santa's like, I understand, dude, but like, I was like, I'm sorry, but I don't get into people's lives. And that's what he's like, you
Right.
should have. And I was just like, man, I guess that's a tough thing about, about being someone like Santa Claus. You know what I mean? Everybody has all these hopes for you, but they don't understand that you are your own person, I guess.
Yeah, everybody has like the expectation of him, but like Santa Claus honestly became Santa Claus for a reason, and he had a really good backstory behind it. So I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was pretty cool that he showed him with Skullcrusher, smashing it up back then,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows up his like, okay, so now I know where he gets his his fighting abilities. So like the one time where he had there's a scene where he gets a sledgehammer in the shed, and he had a candy cane in his mouth, and the whole time he was trying to grind it up, he took it out, and it became like a weapon for him as well.
Mm-hmm.
The candy cane became his weapon. I was like, dang, that's pretty cool. And then the the ice skates on the wall, he was using that.
Oh yeah.
And if you guys haven't seen this movie, by the way, if you guys seen like any kind of other gore movies like Saw, I think you'll get like kind of like those flashbacks, because man, those some of those scenes, they weren't shown all the way, but they're pretty gory. Um, because I was watching it the other night with my wife, and she doesn't like these gory movies, and I didn't expect all these goriness from this movie, but then
Neither did
the
I.
name just
But
says it
then
all,
again,
Violent Night.
yeah, when my friend said it was Die Hard, I was just like, this is the part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if any of you watch Die Hard, any of the movies, you'll see that
Mhm.
it's pretty violent. So yeah,
Yeah, it's like Die Hard, a little bit of a
and
Sawness,
Home
and then
Alone.
some Home
Yeah,
Alone.
yeah, it's
Pretty
definitely
cool.
Home Alone, especially with how big the house is, and in Trudy's the main character, and the plot was actually really good. Like, you know what I mean? It's very, how would I say it? It's very normal, I guess, for a Christmas movie. Like, it was a 100% thoroughbred Christmas movie
Yeah.
with some
Oh yeah,
action,
definitely.
some blood, and some funny things. You know what I
And
mean?
some milk and cookies.
Skim milk and cookies. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so as you can tell, you're hearing is in my voice, and the third person, Mr. Leo. Um, he's not here right now to give us his, negative comments about the movies and criticism.
If there was ever any.
Yeah, and I, for one, have a couple actually. Number one, why wasn't Rudolph in this movie?
I think it was because the skies were clear in that part. I think. I mean, it was just
Yeah,
because Rudolph's only used when he can't see at night.
I
I
know,
mean,
but I just, being my name is Randolph, I gotta look out for my
the Dolphs.
my
Yeah,
reindeer counterparts.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Man, come on.
That
It
makes
was it
sense.
was funny because they landed on the roof, and Santa's like, "Oh man, who did this? Rudolph wouldn't do this."
Yeah, yeah. I was like, dang. I was like, yeah. There's a whole song about it, man.
It was like, "Dang, Prancer did it,"
Hmm. Yeah, I love the banter between Santa Claus and the reindeers. It's, you know what I mean. Like, I was just like, man, Santa, you look like you've had too many drinks, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, no, I did have a couple of criticisms, but knowing I believe that this movie was probably towards teens to young adults,
Hmm.
and actually at the tone that it was, for the type of movies it was, and for the target audience, I believe that this was a very good execution of that, for that target. There was a couple of things that I didn't really understand, and like, so Leah's character, or Leah Brady, that's Trudy's character.
Hmm.
she was super innocent, but she didn't really get along with anybody else, except for the grandma. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the grandma loved her, and I'm assuming that the grandma also liked Bert, but Bert, is a problem child. He's a teenager. You get it. And
Right.
I think a lot of what Trudy was like, how so innocent she was. It almost, I was just like, I don't know if it seems right, but then I keep forgetting that kids have that mindset. But in my head, I was just trying to like, oh, it's like this doesn't make any sense. Why would she think that? Why would you think that this is that it's so easy to do that? Because they're very real. You know what I mean? Like in Home Alone, they were just regular robbers, right? But these
Right.
guys, they were special agents, or like,
They're
you know what I mean?
mercenaries.
Mercenaries. Yeah. It was just like,
I
and
mean,
so you really get to see that innocence can definitely help. But I mean, obviously she had a magical character, you know what I mean, on her side. She had Santa Claus,
yep.
and I don't know why he got stuffed up and wasn't able to go through the chimney in the beginning. You remember he got stuffed up? Dude, that was
Yeah.
hilarious. Hilarious.
And then it was pretty towards the end when he was fighting Scrooge. I wanted to call him Luigi because he was
He was
playing
Luigi.
Super
Yeah.
Mario's
Mm-hmm.
like back in the day, but
Yep.
Luigi was not Luigi in this movie. He was Scrooge. But as soon as it ended up at the very end where the house got blown into bits, I did see the chimney before I saw anything, and I'm like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. Like it was so like
I thought it too. I thought that
as
too.
soon they had that chimney in the shot, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
saw it. I'm like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. I just don't know how
Yeah. Or exactly
he'll
what's going to
use it.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's gonna
I had an
happen.
idea. I had an idea that he was gonna use it to go up the chimney while he had Scrooge pinned against the fireplace, and he was gonna just like, I guess, head bludge him from the top. And that was
Yeah.
the first thing that came to mind that could happen. And by the way, Scrooge's name was Jimmy in the show. Remember,
Oh yeah, yeah, that's
Jimmy
true.
Jimmy Hernandez, I think, or something like that. And then dude, remember that scroll that Santa opens up to see if they're nice or naughty
Oh
or
yeah,
nice?
yeah, the
They
naughty or
explained
nice list.
why they're naughty. He's like killed his best friend.
Yeah, I saw that.
Broke his mother's heart. I was just like, dang.
Damn it, those are some
Yeah.
bad things to have on the naughty list.
But what was cool is that Jimmy thought that everybody blamed his aunt on him killing his aunt, or whoever broke their neck on the stairs when he was a kid. They blamed it on him, but no one did actually.
Mhm.
And yeah, so because of that, it got dark. He got real dark. The way he ended up killing Scrooge.
I know that was crazy. Like I said, I knew he was gonna use a chimney, but I didn't know how he's gonna do it. But he just grabbed him and did his magic. It went broop, like okay, there
And
he
he
goes.
had
There goes
his
his
body
head.
in his head. I was just
Yeah.
like, whoa.
And then right after that, he was staying on top of the chimney, and then he gets shot down by another guy. I'm like, dang.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, by the way, an the one criticism, or another criticism I have, is when Santa Claus was like on his last couple breaths, and then all
Yeah,
of a sudden, Trudy's like, "But I believe in you," and then the parents, Jason and Linda, are like, "Yeah, we believe too."
we believe
That
in you
makes
too.
sense up to those three people. But when the grandma or Gertrude
Yeah.
did it, I don't like, and she's crying, right? She's like, "Oh my gosh!" I was just like, "Where did that come from?" I
Yeah.
guess she.
Did we miss something there?
I was like, was she always going to be this emotional? But you do hear Gertrude talking to Jason when they were both being captured. She's like, I took this from my grandfather and father because they said a woman couldn't take over, and I did it. So I'm happy for you. I'm glad that you want to take it for yourself. And I'm just like, okay, at least she cares. She definitely loves Jason.
Yeah.
And Alva knew it. I was like, oh yeah, he's the favorite. He's the favorite. You know what I mean? I was like, it makes sense that he's a favorite. I was just say you're the young. It looks like Alva was the younger sister, I believe.
Right.
She at least she felt. I felt like she was a younger sister, and she was being a younger sister of a rich mom. It makes sense. Mom gives her everything she wants,
Mm-hmm.
and Jason does everything the mom wants. It's a very interesting um
The
dynamic between the
dynamics.
two. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you see Gertrude's like, I believe it too, and I'm like, really,
Do you really? Are
really,
you
and
sure?
then of course Alva and Bert says it too, right? And I'm like, oh, I kind of believe Bert because Bert is a young teenager. You know what I mean? I was just like, yo, if I was a teen and I saw Santa Claus right there, yeah, no, 100%, I believe in him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh, that part was a little forced, but like I said, it's also for younger teens too. It's also good to see where the whole family kind of agrees on one thing, and then
Yeah.
Santa Claus all of a sudden is like, oh, I guess I'm good. You know?
Right. Just like how the aunt and then her son and then Linda were when they were very close to getting shot
Oh yeah,
by
yeah, by
the
Krampus,
other
yeah,
by Krampus, and then
yeah.
they just kept arguing. I thought that was funny too.
Oh yeah,
That
no,
part. Yeah.
it was definitely that was funny, especially when they. That's when Bert called Linda Aunt Linda.
Yeah.
Yeah, and oh dude, I didn't. Wait, the girl that broke into the vault? I don't ever know what happened to her after she broke into the vault, but
Yeah. She just left.
she just dipped,
It's
or
like
maybe she
that
was
was
in
just
there,
her character. She was just there to just open it up, and that's it.
or maybe she dressed up in one of those suits when she left. And she
Oh,
just died.
probably.
Like she just died as a without her face being there. That's funny. And maybe that was her manager or agent's thing. Be like, you can have her, but you just can't show that she's gonna die. You know what I mean?
And the other thing was, what do you think was written on that note that the son gave to Gertrude?
It was supposed to be him saying goodbye to his mom because he doesn't want he doesn't want anything to do with her anymore. And
Mm.
I took all the money. That's basically what he said. And
So did the children have access to that vault then? Was that it?
um only Alex and Alva, I believe, would.
Oh.
Yeah. And I don't know if Alva would though 100%, but if she said she threatened Jason to saying that she could take Jason's job, no problem. That must
Mm.
mean that she has some kind of clout within the business, but judging by how she is with her men, maybe not
Mhm.
100% like Jason, but um
Yeah. I it was kind of, I think this movie was a little bit predictable. That's one of my criticisms too. Is it was a little bit predictable, but I mean, what else can you get from a Die Hard meets Home Alone kind of movie put into a
mhm.
Christmas film? You know?
Well, I think it was. I think with this being predictable, yeah, I did have a gripe. I had gripes with it too, but because
Yeah,
of the audience that they were targeting, it makes sense that it
yeah.
was. You know what I mean? If you like, between us, like we're already in that older generation where we've watched tons of movies. You know what I mean?
Oh
And have
man,
reviewed tons of movies. You know what I mean? We're not your average just movie goers anymore. And
yeah.
so we know what to look
You're
for
very
in shows.
critically
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
acclaimed.
we know what to look for and all that good stuff. And I think one thing to bring up too, I thought was funny was Gingerbread and Candy Cane, or the girl and the guy that was
Yeah.
with Scrooge when they were interrogating Santa Claus, and he was just like, and you, I forgot her name in the show, her real name in the show, Kenzia, I think it was, and she's like, he's like, you tricked your brother with real spiders, something like that. And Bjorn, what's wrong with you? What's because I had to get you a Huffy bike.
Yeah,
You
the
know what I
bike.
mean?
You ask for a bike every year.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
And
like,
then
how does he know that?
and so you have Candy Cane and Gingerbread on the phone or on walkies with Scrooge, and he's like, "Who is it?" He goes by the name Santa Claus, and then you see Candy Cane go, "The real Santa." She's like, "No, he's for real." You know what I mean? Like, and it's so funny when they find out it is him, and then Santa's like, "I've been telling you, I ain't lying." But
I know, right?
um, and you see even Jason Lightstone had cracked in front of the possibility that they're going to shoot Trudy. You know what I mean? He's like, he's
Yeah.
not real. He's not. We only say it's real to make kids believe that. Da, da, da. He
And then And Jimmy didn't find out that he was Santa Claus until he actually got a hold of his scroll that said naughty and a whole bunch of
Yeah,
that
he's like,
stuff
"Oh,
that
you're
you said
you, huh?
earlier.
You're the dude."
It's like, oh,
Yeah,
you're really you. That's really you, Santa.
yeah, and he's
Oh
like, "This
man.
is really gonna be the last Christmas," and
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
was
like,
like, oh heck no.
"Ooh." I was like, Santa Claus said that earlier today too
Yeah.
at the bar in New York, I believe he was in. I don't know. But yeah, no. But the movie, overall, I think it was really good. I mean, if I were to grade it, let's see, characters. It was a good amount of characters. It was a good amount of characters.
Yeah.
I give an A for characters. For the plot,
Hmm.
since it was very predictable, you know what? I want to give that one a C. The C, a plot a C plus. Um, and then the criticism, there wasn't much, so it still kind of gives that A off. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be like a B plus A minus, like maybe
Okay.
let's give it a 90%. Um,
Wow.
it was a
Okay.
good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed it so much that I made a last minute call on doing this review with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah. So I give it a 90%, A minus, B plus.
I think I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10. Reason to why is because number one, Rudolph wasn't there, and I understand now why Rudolph is not there. I get it, guys. I get it. Um, and I think the other one is that it is predictable as well. Um, so but overall, it's a good movie. It is a lot like Die Hard. Uh, I was not expecting a lot of those violent scenes, but of course, hence the name Violent Night.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you guys are watching on the YouTube channel, comment down below what you guys give this Christmas movie, Violent Night. I'm interested to see what you guys say about this film.
Yes, please let us know. Let us know if what you liked, what you didn't like, and also if you aren't watching it on the YouTube and say you want to talk about it, go ahead and hit us up on any of our social medias. But yeah,
Definitely.
I hope you guys like this week's episode. I just want to let you guys know. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Don't forget to watch this video on youtube.com/nerdyvolume. Also, listen to our podcast through Anchor FM, where you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Spotify. Yes, I said
Yes,
Spotify.
sir.
So, catch you guys next time, and we'll see you later.
Later, guys.